Tell me the most unfortunate name you've ever run across. I'll go first. I went to school with a guy named Richard Head. What were his parents thinking?
No one is going to believe me. No one is going to believe me. So my uncle has this friend who has no idea who I am, but I will never forget who she is because of her name. I think of her at least twice a week. Her first name is Gay. Starting off pretty bad with that one. Her last name is Cox. This woman's name is Gay Cox. She's like a grandma. She's like in her 70s, walking around with the name Gay Cox. And to make matters worse, she added her middle initial to kind of break that sentence up a little bit. And out of all the initials she could possibly have, her initial is P. Gay P. Cox. So she goes by Gay P. Cox instead of Gay Cox. But I don't know if that's much better because the P could stand for a lot of things.
So I was in community college and I didn't really have a lot of friends at the time. So, I would just kind of sit down and people watch. And one time I saw these two guys get into an argument. And one guy got absolutely fucking haymakered, one and done, knocked out by this dude who was gigantic, right? Then I was like, let me eat my French bread in private. Then the next day, turns out the guy that knocked him out was in my class. We were playing Two Truths and a Lie. He stood up, he said, hello, my name is Clarence. He loves alpacas and he fucking hates lima beans. You wanna know what the fucking lie was? Clarence loves lima beans. That was, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just got 1, 2, how do you fucking do by a guy named Clarence. You got Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruitied by a dude who fucking loves lima beans. How do you feel?
Probably, Sarah.
I'll go first. If you know me, you know this story probably because I tell it all the time. But basically, my mom's a pediatrician, which is like a doctor for kids. And this girl and her like really sweet mom came in, and her name on the sheet when you have to go to the doctor's office is L, a dash, and an A. And so my mom comes in, she's like, how do I say her name? Is it L-A or is it La? And the mom goes, her name is LaDasha.
Oh, honey, I was a substitute teacher for 10 years, so here you go. So the first name that ever blew me away so hard, I actually had to call my sister just to tell her about it because I couldn't believe it. It was spelled A-A. And I sub in an area with a lot of different ethnicities, and it's actually a point of pride with me that I pronounced the kids' names correctly because everybody used to say my name wrong as a kid. I'm Kayla, but I was a first-generation Kayla, so I got Carly Kayla. Duh. And honestly, I'm pretty good at it. And I always liked it when the kids were like, hey, Miss Boyce, you actually said my name right. And I'd be like, oh, thank you. So I tried it, and I went with Aya. And this kid was like, no, it's Adasha. But Adasha, sweetie, if you're out there, can you get a hold of me? Because people think I made you up.
Here's a happy, wholesome Disney story. So I worked at Disneyland, and you see a lot of wild names coming through. The craziest that I saw, though, was a little girl named Malaria. Yeah, like the disease. Were her parents out here just like, man, I love mosquitoes and trauma builds character? Like, how did that happen? I don't speak for the brand or the company, but as a dude whose name is Ryan Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, if I look at your name and go, oh, it's not good.
Yeah, it's actually my name. And when I was younger, some people mispronounced my name. So when I was younger, I used to live in Virginia. And yes, Virginia is one of the hard R states. So my name's Nigel. But I don't know how, but some people managed to mispronounce my name and call me a nigga.
It wasn't a problem until last year, but I am called Rona. I do spell it with an H, though. But every time I go online now, it's Rona, bloody Rona, Miss Rona. It's not my fault.
I met a homophobic pastor one time named Gaylord Dix. I wish I was kidding. Let me try to find his picture. I couldn't find a picture, but I found what church he preaches at. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Okay, so when I was in high school, I worked part-time at a school, and their breaks were separate from mine, so I would sub during the week that I was off because they were still in school. And in the kindergarten class, there was this little boy. I'll put the name on the screen like how it was spelled, Dallassone. Okay, I called this baby Dallison all day long. He ignored me, would not answer me for nothing. So I worked the pickup line that day, and when I put him in, I asked his mom, I was like, I called him Dallison, but he's not responding. Like, am I pronouncing it wrong? She's like, yeah, girl, I'll tell you. His name is the last one because he has 12 brothers and sisters, and he was the last one I was going to have. Excuse me, ma'am, what? You named your child what?
I have so many of these, so I'm just going to do the top 5. And when I used to live in the United States before I graduated and moved to Europe and Turkey, I worked in an emergency room. I worked in a children's emergency room, and we always got really crazy names. So, number 1, Shatanya. Yeah, Shatanya. Number 2, Shathid. Number 3, not too bad, but oof, Juggalo. Yes, like that Juggalo. And they were. Number 4, we're getting good. Noel. And my personal favorite name I've ever heard in my life, Forrest. Yeah. These kids, it's...
And chose to post it on social media, mocking my daughter.
Well, her daughter's name is spelled A-B-C-D-E and pronounced Absidy. This story...
Sorry for the way we look, but we just woke up. Okay, he has to show you his soul cat. I had to jump on this one because, oh my gosh, as many of you know, I was a foster parent for about 5 or 6 years, fostering a total of 18 kids. And of course, I adopted my kiddos, right? Yeah. So a lot of the kiddos that I fostered were preemies, and they come from NICUs. So I actually wound up spending a lot of time in NICUs, and I loved talking to the nurses. I will never forget, I asked this question to some nurses, and they gave me some wild answers. The number one answer I'll never forget is this: Tramlaw. You heard that correct. The child's name was Tramlaw. Anyone want to take a wild guess as to what that is? I'm going to give you a second. It's Walmart, spelled backwards. Walmart.
Okay, so I used to work for an optometrist, and I would go out and say the patient's names in the waiting room, bring them back, do their stuff before the doctor seen them. Well, I had a little girl come in, and her name was spelt like this. I looked at it, and I went out to the waiting room and said, Shady Nasty. This little girl whipped her head around and with the most sass I've ever seen in my life said, "It's Shadynasty." Okay, I'm sorry.
Alright, so it's 7th grade American history. I sits down in the class, right, and the teacher that I had, my sister had warned me about her that she was kind of a bitch, right? So I was like, whatever. So I get in there. Her name was Mrs. Aycock. A-Y-C-O-C-K. Mrs. Aycock. So we always wondered what her first name was, right? And kids will make jokes. Maybe it's, maybe it's the phone rings one day and she picks it up. She goes, "This is Sharon." 7th grade teacher, and her name was Sharon Aycock. Bruh.
So I have finally found a TikTok where I will excel. Here's the thing. I am in social work. I have been since I was 18. And some of the names that have come across my desk throughout my career have been shocking, if not cringy. So there were the triplets, Silver, Gold, and Platinum. There were the twins, Orangelo and Lemangelo, spelled orange jello and lemon jello. I actually personally know an Absidy, A-B-C-D-E. There was the argument that I got in with the lady who spelled her daughter's name L-E-R-A because I called her Lara, and apparently it's Ladashera because the dash is not violent. Let's not forget Forest, S-S-S-S, Forest, and Secretion. there was a lady that named her kid Secretion.